I don't think you all understand who I am. I mean, I've always been a straight-A student.
Have you been drinking?
I had a drink.
I am an outstanding mother to my son.
It's her day to pick up the kid, but
Okay.
it doesn't always happen. It's 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets him.
Go back inside. Jesus.
Do you need Jesus right now?
I excel at everything.
She hasn't worked for over 2 years. I mean, she was always calling to borrow money, and it's been like 2 years since she got a job.
Babe, I had no idea.
Jesus Christ.
It's just some things that jumped out at me.
All right, let's go.
18 tagged items on scene that day.
Okay.
All right, so we've got 234 photos of the crime scene. Some of that evidence was the 2 empty wine bottles that we were already aware of. However, this is a big however. There were 3 Publix receipts, 3 for wine that were in the trash. Okay. I've been putting together a little timeline of Sarah. There was a receipt for wine bought the day before at around 5 p.m. There was a receipt for 12:17 p.m. the 23rd, the day that all this occurred. And there was wine on that. I don't know how many bottles of wine. It just says of wine. And then at 5:39 p.m., again, they go and get another bottle of wine at Publix.
3 that day?
Which goes back to her lying again.
Well, I thought that because I thought they said 2, but there's 3?
There's 3.
That's what you're telling me?
Well, okay. There's 2 empty bottles in the trash.
In the trash.
Okay?
And she had said there had been a partial one in there, but that might have been a lie.
You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
So we're talking about Sunday?
I mean, I can get like maybe 2-3 glasses of wine, and I'll be fine. But I have to have my wits about myself because I don't know what to expect.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday? How were you, how many glasses of wine did you have? How many glasses of wine did he have? The bottle was gone. I mean, I don't know if you poured any out. Yes.
No, that was from previous.
You said that there was a half bottle left
yeah,
over.
about this much.
And then that you had I don't even know how the wine, how'd you guys get the wine for Sunday?
I'm guessing he went to Publix.
Does he leave the house and you stay home, or do you go to Publix?
Sometimes I'll go with him.
Okay. Did you go with him Sunday to Publix?
So
is that what he did Sunday?
I'm guessing that's what he did, because the next thing I know, he's walking in with a bottle.
Okay.
So it's him trying to be nice, so I don't have to go out and do it.
There's a bottle that's missing. Now, it could have already been thrown out in the trash. If it's not in the apartment full, then it was already drank and thrown out. When, we don't know. But we can tell you just from these receipts that at noon and again at 5:30, they bought wine. And we know that 2 bottles were empty in the trash. To me, it was like, it doesn't sound, it brings her testimony into question, because her stuff never falls in line, the stuff that she says.
No, she's always going to tell it in a way that she feels can help her, that will benefit her. So she gets caught in a lie, and she just pivots and goes another direction. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see.
Remember how before I'd said, who is this Devin Jamro? They keep bringing up Devin Jamro.
Like yesterday, I think.
Yeah. So I found out today, he's a 34-year-old white male who is a witness, and he worked at Publix.
So, yeah. Okay. All right.
Now,
I know what I said in response to that, but I don't know if it's true.
So my first thought is, okay, well, he must have seen George at the Publix, and maybe he can testify that George had no marks on him when he saw him that night or that day before the incident, because we know after the next morning he had all these marks on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why, is I'm looking at all these witness testimonies in this case, and we've heard most of them. They've already been put out there. But this guy right here, all of his stuff is redacted. All of it.
He could be a minor.
He's not. He's 34 years old. I've already
Oh.
looked. Why is he redacted? There's a
don't-
reason.
I don't know. Sometimes Publix hires people with disabilities, and it could be that they're just trying to protect him, like he's a protected class.
Okay. That's
for not being, exposed to the public.
The other thing is that I found very interesting is that there were various items that were in the suitcase with George, and I didn't realize this. But one of the items, it was like there was a tie, like a man's tie. There was the hat. I think it was the hat that he was wearing had come off. There was a couple of items like clothes and stuff in there. But the one item that I found interesting was that there was a diazepam syringe in there.
What?
So I go and look up diazepam syringe, right? And it says, let me read you what it says. Diazepam injection is used to relieve symptoms of anxiety and alcohol withdrawal. It actually was a prescribed item that had George's name on it.
Oh, wow.
Now, he probably had it at one point in time.
Oh, it was, you know what? It might have been a condition of one of his probations. Yeah.
I'm going to zoom in.
Look at you with your crime scene diagram. That's fantastic. Oh, my attorneys would lose their damn minds.
I am so type A. I can't help it. All right. So here's what I found interesting. The victim was located lying on his back on the floor of the living room. His head was to the northeast. I have this diagram laid out exactly the way they say he was laying when he was found. So except for his arms, okay, and his legs. I'm just saying the direction of the body. This is just a little diagram that I got off the thingy, but his head was towards the living room and his feet was towards the kitchen. Okay. And it was kind of that angle too. I've got the angle correctly too. But what I found was interesting was his left arm was extended by his side with his hand resting on his left hip. His right arm was bent at the elbow with his hand resting on his abdomen. All right. So do that right now, y'all. Put your left hand on your side of your hip as if you're laying on the floor, and then take your elbow or take your other hand, your right hand, and put it on your abdomen. Now, someone comes over and they're trying to give you CPR. What's going to get in the way?
Your arms.
Yep.
Especially the one that's going across your abdomen.
Your abdomen. Mm-hmm. That told me something. I mean, I just felt like
I don't think she did CPR. I don't.
There's another hiccup. Yeah.
Judge, as you know, we have filed our notice of intent for battered spouse syndrome in conjunction with self-defense. And we have listed and plan to introduce the fact that Jorge Torrez had been arrested, I think, 3 or 4 times prior to this event. And I think on 3 of those cases, the case was dismissed against Mr. Torrez. And it's going to come out that Sarah Boone had requested the charges be dismissed. And I believe it's going to come out probably through expert testimony that that's one of the conditions, or that's one of the things that they try to do, bond you out of bail and then get the charges dismissed as a battered spouse. That's a common theme. So ultimately, the jury is going to hear about that, but the jury needs to know it's the ultimate position. The victim doesn't have the final say. It's the ultimate position from the state attorney's office as to whether to prosecute a case or to drop a case. Yes, they are to consider what the victim wants, and they are to consider their requests, but ultimately, the state attorney has to make that decision about whether a case is dismissed.
Prosecutors and victim advocates and other support staff cannot be forced to come in and say why they dropped a case. That is opinion work product. And if they want to get public records about these cases and try to get them moved into evidence, then they have to do public records requests or compel discovery from the state attorney's office, which I believe we all have. It's up to the defendant if she wants to come in and say, yeah, I asked to get these cases dropped. I mean, that evidence is coming in anyways through her phone extraction. She is immediately working to bail the victim out. She's immediately working on dropping charges. In fact, there's a video of her coaching the victim on how to drop charges against her on her phone. So all that evidence is going to come in, but it cannot be coming in through opinion work product of the assistant state attorneys and our support staff.